Hey everyone, it's Mighty here with another video. For today's video, we're doing something a little bit different, although I feel like I might say that for almost every video. But anyways, I'm going to be discussing some recent news that by the time I upload this video will have been announced a week ago. Last Wednesday, February 24th, as I'm sure many of you who have clicked on this video already know, Fry's Electronics announced that they will be closing all their stores indefinitely. And if you're watching this and you don't know much about Fry's Electronics, or you maybe never heard of them, Fry's is, or I suppose was, a sort of one-stop shop for all things electronic, and even then some. It was like a Best Buy, but bester, because not only did they sell almost everything a geek could want, PC parts out the ears, DIY tech tools and supplies, and much, much more, but the stores were even meticulously and elaborately decorated with fantastic displays, each store with a different theme, from Egyptian to Western, with monolithic sculptures and displays ranging from a UFO crashing into the front of the store to 4 great panthers supporting a plaque on which a large assortment of laptops were bestowed upon, with opportunities to try and see some of the latest tech such as a new VR headset, and so much more. Fry's must have been a great place to be. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about what may or may not have happened that caused them to close, but I do have a few things to say. Fry's statement last Wednesday claims that they have, and I quote, made the difficult decision to shut down its operations and close its business permanently as a result of changes in the retail industry and the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Beyond this statement, as I understand, Fry's has been vague on any other details regarding the permanent closing or the cause. But from what I've experienced and gathered, there's definitely a little bit more to it. Now, there's no doubt that COVID has had its impact on their sales, and the retail industry has shifted strongly in the favor of online shopping, but the latter was already much the case before the pandemic. To be frank, I have not done a ton of research into the details of what has been going on under the hood at Fry's in the past several years leading up to this point, so take what I say lightly, but I will say this. As I understand from a few of the articles I read, Bitwit's video that he uploaded a whole year ago before the pandemic first hit hard in the US, along with my own experience shopping there, online retail, along with a few other variables such as poor customer service and limited locations that required most people to travel a fair distance, drove sales down. As sales dropped off, Fry's decided to switch to a less conventional means of acquiring their merchandise, known as consignment. This meant that instead of Fry's buying stock, sellers would have to pay to ship their stock to Fry's, pay for ads in Fry's flyers and such, pay for end cap exposure if they wanted merchandise to be more visible to shoppers, and only get paid for a unit of that stock if and when that unit gets sold. Otherwise, in the case it fails to sell, the seller must pay to ship it back if that's what they decide to do. Even worse, as I understand, if a customer bought a product and returned it, the refund would come back from the seller's pocket. This resulted in a smaller selection of products and even less shoppers, eventually to the point where shelves were almost completely empty. At least shoppers at Fry's would be prepared for what their grocery stores would look like during the peak of the pandemic. Bad jokes aside, I'm quite regretful to hear this news, and even more so because I never knew the store as it once was. I myself missed out on the whimsical embrace that was a visit to Fry's, as enthusiasts would know it. Some unnecessary backstory: I acquired my first very own PC from a friend back in mid to late 2018, that which before I had a shitty Dell Latitude, and not very much before that, I would use my mom's laptop primarily for gaming. Neither laptops were very good for gaming on, so when I got my first PC it was a decent upgrade. Even still, in the coming months, I would come to realize the stark limitations of the Dell Optiplex 990 small form factor, as some of you guys who may have watched my shitty Dell videos may know of. I cracked open that case for the first time and was quick to start taking it apart and looking for an upgrade. This would mark the beginning of my journey into the realm of PC hardware. This led to me digging into my dad's old and very outdated PC components and eventually to Newegg, where I bought a GT730 graphics card. When I finally received it, I learned it would not fit my small form factor case. I would attempt upgrading it a second time a while after my first custom build, as seen in my Optiplex overhaul videos. As a witness to this failed endeavor, my dad suggested I should build a custom PC, which ultimately led to him talking about Fry's Electronics, in which he enthusiastically described it in the way I'm sure most fanatics remember it. Of course, he eventually took me to Fry's during January of 2019, which the closest Fry's, luckily for us, was only about 45 minutes away. My dad was very excited to show me around the precipice of our newfound common interest. However, rolling into the mostly empty parking lot, he seemed mildly alarmed, and even more so, quite possibly even mortified at the disparaging emptiness that awaited us when we stepped inside. Nonetheless, an enthusiastic employee helped us pick out parts for my very first build, and when asked about the empty shelves, he chalked it up to just being behind on shipments after being bombarded by the Black Friday, Christmas, and after Christmas sale rush. Of course, they likely had comparatively more stock back then than they probably had for the rest of the duration they remained open, but even as far back as 2 years ago, you could tell something was wrong, and it was a surprise they lasted this long, especially during the pandemic. Although that concluded my one and only experience at Fry's Electronics, I still enjoyed it, and it was a very exciting and inspiring moment for me. Because of this, I'm very sad to have to say farewell to Fry's, and I regret not having an opportunity to visit during its prime. With that, let me know what you guys think in the comments regarding the closing of Fry's or this type of video. And of course, if you have any stories of your experiences at Fry's that you'd like to share, especially from its good old days, I'd be delighted to hear about them. Take care, everyone.